Hi everyone, this is Rajesh and welcome to the channel Technoprog. In this video, I would like to share some basic concepts on C++. So it is like completely theoretical in this current video, and in next video I will be telling on live programming also. So here if you know C, then learning C++ is very much easier. So C is an extension of C. So whatever we are able to do in C can be done in C++ also, but with some extra features. Yeah, let's continue the video and we'll see on what are the basic concepts and what are the object oriented concepts were taken in are present in the C++. Yeah, C++ is a middle level programming language. It was introduced by John Stroustrup in 1979 at the Bell Labs. It is a middle level programming language because it bridges a gap between the low level programming to the high level programming. Although C++ is developed in 1979, but still in 2020 we use it more effectively in wide variety of applications like desktop applications and gaming industries, and we use it for device drivers applications and client server applications like SQL, and we use it for something like automotive embedded software is also uses C++. So C++ is an object oriented programming language. So before object oriented programming, people used to write it in all the instructions in a set of sequence. So but unlike C++, it used to create an own objects where it helps creating objects that can interact with each other. This makes it easier to develop programmers in object oriented programming, and we can understand the relationship between them also. So it's like one object will interact with other object if it is required, and it does the job easy. So like other things in C++, there are four primary features in OOPS concept is taken. That is like first one is encapsulation, polymorphism, and abstraction inheritance also, but predominantly we'll be concentrating on this four pillars of OOPS. And in the next slides we'll see over detail what is this all the four pillars means. So detail we have in other video we'll see, but I'll give the brief in this current session. So first we are coming to the encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but a process of combining data members and the function in a single unit. Data member is nothing but all data types like int a, int b, int c. So a, b, c are nothing but data members. Functions, here we call functions as methods, which we define functions in a class, or we can define the function outside the class. So don't get confused about how to define these functions inside class and outside class, but we'll see in detail in other videos. So just remember the functions in C are simply called as methods in C++. So this is to prevent, so encapsulation is nothing but combining both data and functions into one entity, that which is nothing but a class. So this is to prevent the access to the data directly and to access them in a protected to the functions of the class. So we can access the data with the help of only the methods of the class. So we can't define the other class separately which is not inside the class, and we try to access the data members. So the main concept of C here is like C++ is like data hiding and the access types. So how we can give the access to the only the specific member or the specific method. So this use the data hiding concept of C++. So here's an example, like here we have class or object. Object is nothing but instance of class. I'll tell this in detail in the next video. Suppose we have a class here. So this is how the syntax or the view of the class looks like. So we can have the private members or the public or protected members. So all the data members we can write here, and all the functions, nothing but functions is nothing but the members. So which we encapsulate together and form in one entity, which is nothing but a class. Next property is inheritance. Inheritance is nothing but a capability of a class to derive the properties and characteristics from other class. So here properties and characteristics is nothing but data members and the methods or the functions. So it is like similar to the hash include. So one function we do it in C, we do one function in one file, and we include that already existing function by using hash include. Similarly, here what are the members or the methods present in one class can be inherited by the other class also. So here there is something called derived class. Derived class is nothing but the class that which inherits the properties from other class is called derived class or the subclass. And here the other thing is superclass, the class whose properties are getting inherited by subclass is called superclass or the base class. So this will be example. So here we have two classes here, class B and class C. These two are called the base class or the superclass. So here class A is getting derived some properties from class B and also from class C. So this will be one class. So there are three classes. So what are all the members or the objects which are available, all the methods which are present in the B and C will be present in A also. But it can't get all the members or the data present in B and C the members or the methods which are made public and protected can be inherited by class A. So what is this public and private or protected? I'll tell in the next video. So next property is the polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but it's an call of a member function. So member function is something which is present inside the class, will cause a different function to be executed depending on the type of object that invokes the function. So it is like we have we'll see this example. So we have three classes here. So shape is the base class, all the triangle, rectangle and circles are the derived classes. So we have, if you see here cleanly, there will be some member function, let's method. Member method is like draw, is a function, so which is a common to all. So it's the same function, but whatever we are writing inside we are, when we are defining this draw in the triangle class may be different, in rectangle class definitely will be different because the shapes are different. So circle draw will be different. So although we call with the same name draw, so depending on how we are calling this function or in which context you are calling, which object you are calling this function, so this respective call to the draw function will be there. So but in C, if we are calling draw function, because it's the same, we can't do it because we will get a linking error when we are doing the compilation or the build process. So but here in C, depending on the object which is present where this particular method is defined, that particular function will be called. So this is like we can do it by using the overloading concepts of C++. This I will tell in the next sessions. So here C++ implements this polymorphism by using overload functions, overload operators and virtual function. So overloading is nothing but same, we can use the same function name different times. So same function name you can use, but with different arguments or with different return types. So this I'll tell detail, so don't get confused on this. The next property is the abstraction. Abstraction is one of the most essential and important feature of object-oriented programming. So here abstraction is nothing but displaying only essential information and hiding the detail. So when you are trying to implement some job, so we are giving for the outside world only the results. So how we are doing and how the steps and how are the programming concepts we used can be put inside. So we no need to show everything to the outside world. So we can do this data abstraction by using by using the classes or by using the header files. We can implement the functions like we do it in C. So we can implement any function in header file and we can call the same function. So in our wherever it is required, the function is required in normal C code. So similarly, we can use the class also. So where we can provide the class member property like an private or the protected, and we can have all the members which are public, so which can be accessible to the outside world or the user. So here I told like there will be three mainly keywords we use to implement this abstraction in the C++. They are like public, private and protected. So whenever we put something under the public, so all the members can be accessible to the object to the outside, and private, so we can't access the private members via the object directly by using the dot operator. We need to use it with the member functions. So protected is similar to the private. So but while difference between the private and protected, it comes during the inheritance concept. So this we'll see the later. So here we have one more important feature is exception handling. So it's normal in Java concepts or object oriented. So we have exception handling. So exception is a problem that arises during the execution of a program. For example, while doing the runtime error, while division by 0 it happens, while the pointer is, when we are doing the pointer, so the pointer is not able to access this particular address. So all the runtime errors. So exceptions provide a way to transfer control from one part of the program to other. So we use catch for catching the exceptions whenever the exception comes. So normally we use the try block for that. So in the try block we use a set of instructions that which has to be monitored. So when we get any error or any runtime error we get during the try block, so the catch block will be called. And there is something called throw also, like we have a throw keyword for exception handling. So it is like we can it's like inside the try block we can use the throw which exception to be thrown. So in the catch we can have the many catch blocks. So if you try, so which catch block has to be gone by using by throw, we tell to catch one block or catch two block, so this particular exception has to be gone. So in detail this we'll see in the next sessions. So I think that's all for this, and today we have I have told mostly on the only the theoretical part but not on the live examples and all. So in the next class I'll tell you detail about how the class, object and methods are being created. So maybe. So these are the references I used mostly. So I think there are many videos on the C++. So there are a lot of sessions where little lengthy. So I wanted to be very small. So just we can directly jump by knowing the what is the object oriented concepts, and we can start implementing. So in the next class, I'll definitely detailedly tell you about what is class, and I will see on the code blocks I use for compiler, and we'll see in the next class. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.